All right, so I want to show you a couple ways to make a spout right now. So really quick, we want to think about our teapot and what spout style, what kind of look you might be thinking about with this thing. And it doesn't have to be like, you might make a couple different spouts and then see which one you like the best, which one fits your style or whatever. So a super simple way to begin a spout, a small spout, could be by taking a pinch pot like this. I'm beating this ball of clay together into something of like a cone. And then I'm gonna stick my finger in here. So I stuck my finger all the way through this. So what I'm doing is making a tube, okay? So remember, like we said with a teapot, how the spout functions best is if it goes from wide to narrow. Where it exits is the narrowest point. And when it does that, it compresses the water. The water is under compression. So if it's widest at the base here and narrowest at the end, it should come out in a nice stream if you're making a functional teapot. So I'm kind of pulling this, I'm pinching this, and I'm pulling this forward here. Sometimes I'll even take my finger around this thing, making like a ring, and I'll just give this like little light compressions to make that smaller. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit wider, so I'm kind of pulling this out and I'm pulling this in. So this is a very rough kind of, I don't know, it looks like a tornado, rough shape. I can smooth this out later when it firms up, but I want to finish getting this into the shape that I want. So right now I might kind of push the belly of it. Usually a teapot spout looks something like a little S coming off, for the most part. Looks like a little S coming off the body. So I'm going to kind of push that out and round this over. I'm just kind of using my fingers to shape this. Like a handle, there's more here than I need, and I'm going to chop this later, so I'll show you guys. But so what I'm doing is just kind of bending that around in my hands, and that can become my spout. Later on, I can cut the end of this, I can cut the back side of this, and I can smooth this whole thing out. So there's lots of ways to make a spout. That's a hand building way right there, by doing it with a pinch pot. Another way that's pretty common is, so this technique has a little bit of details to watch, but I'm rolling this coil so that it tapers like a spout, so that it has a thick end and a narrow end. And I'm gonna use one of these dowel rods. I have a bunch in the front. I'm gonna try to get this right through the middle of it. So I'm gonna start pushing this through, and then as I push this through, I can feel right where the dowel rod is, because as the dowel rod goes through this thing, as it goes through, I can feel it expanding in my hand. So I can feel right where that is. It always kind of wants to like go out to the side. So as I'm pushing it through, I'm kind of pushing this thing around a little bit to try to make sure that it's in the middle as best as I can. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but. So I got that to go through, right? It's fine here at this end, but it's really thick at this end. So I want to thin that out. So when I do that, how I do it is I grab the stick here. I kind of have my fingers wide like this, and I slide them up. So I grab the stick, and my finger is balanced on the table, if you can see that. So this end is not hitting the table. And then I can just push down on this end with the stick. So I'm dragging my one finger right here on the table, so it's lifted up. I'm dragging that finger on the table, and I'm pushing this end down to open up that wide back end. So now it looks like that. Hey, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's incredible. Oh, thanks, buddy. Does that make sense? So, I mean, that could be it. You could do a lot with this, right here. You can take it a step further for sure by pulling it like we did yesterday with the handle. So I have this on the stick. No. So I'll show you what it looks like though. I want to make sure that the clay doesn't compress on the stick and it stays fluid on there, or this thing can move. If it sticks to the stick, I'm stuck. I never said that before, but that worked out real nice. So I like to keep, like I said yesterday, keep one hand dry so I stay in control. So I kind of hold it with my hand and I just always check that this is moving like this. So over my bucket of water, I can start, for this one, I'm not making a strap like my handle. I'm just gonna keep it round. So I'm just gonna keep using the ring, but I'm gonna move it around so I don't like start to get like edges or boxy sides. Then I'll check that. If this feels like it's like, ooh, it's starting to stick, I'll put it down in the water and pull some water up into the tube to act as a lubricant. Okay, and then I can kind of keep pulling this. Sometimes I'll dig my finger into it a little bit just to kind of get a little extra. It's starting to stick. So this is nice, just like the handle, because I'm adding water to this, I'm smoothing it, and I'm stretching it out, which will help this to then be more pliable. So when I get this to the thickness that I want, and again, like a handle, it should be longer, then we can cut it down. Then I can start to shape it. So I'm gonna be careful when I do that. I'm gonna kind of work on the belly here. So I'm kind of going back and forth over it as I'm starting to bend it. So I'm not just bending it. I'm going back and forth. I have my finger is right here. So I'm kind of bending it over my finger inside. So I got like a little bottom bend there. And then I can work on the top bend here. If I bend it, I'll probably just kink it. So I want to kind of softly coax it into its shape. But there's a little spout. Again, it's longer on both ends, so we can cut that to fit your teapot when it's ready. What do you think? It's not okay?
I'm scared.
Oh, thank you guys. So there's two ways, and there's a lot of other ways to make spouts with slabs and all kinds of stuff. And I can show you more, but those I think are two of the best ways to kind of go about this.